This is Lady Myya. Hello, you guys. I am back with another podcast. Okay, so I have with me Miss Michelle P. Jones. You guys might know her best in Girls Talk, Real Talk. And I love that. I think that was so cool. I'm like, oh my goodness, girl power. Yes. Okay, so she is not just a podcaster, she's a radio personality. She's also a strategist in business and in writing. Okay, she's a blogger. I mean, too many hats, right? I'm just saying. You never know what the color is going to be that day. I'm just saying. Anyway, I want my Mayan tribe to please welcome Miss Michelle P. Jones. Hello, beloved.
Hello. It's so great to be here.
Thank you so much for your time, effort, and your energies. I appreciate you much. Definitely. So I want everyone to get to know who Miss Michelle P. is. Okay, so I have questions.
Okay.
Now, she has 4 books, y'all. Anyway, what made you to be an author?
Actually, it was a flippant remark from my mother. It literally, I kid you not, it was because my mom lives in Illinois, and she had come in town to visit me. Mm-hmm. And so she had wanted to talk to me. And at the time I was doing a blog, and I was doing a daily blog. So 7 days a week, I was writing a blog. I was publishing this blog. And so when she wanted to talk to me that night, I was writing the blog. I was in the midst of writing. And so when she came in to talk to me the next morning, I'm also an avid journaler. So I was journaling. And so when she came back in afterwards, I had just got finished praying, and I had actually picked up my journal to mark a page. And she said, there you go writing again. Why don't you just write a book? And then she stormed out of my room. And so it just kind of stayed with me. And that happened back in 2017, actually 2016, around Christmas time, because she comes and spends Christmas with us every year. And so it was probably the spring, I take it back, the Kentucky Derby weekend is when I was coming back from Kentucky. I had gone to my very first Kentucky Derby, and I had come back from Kentucky, and on my way back, God spoke into my spirit and said, turn your voice recorder on. We're getting ready to do this book. And so I was like, okay. So I flipped it on, and for the hour and 45 minutes it took me to get from Kentucky back here to Indianapolis, I transcribed the book. And the name of that book is Grasping Your Success, 6 Steps to Start and Legitimize Your Business. And so that was the first book that I put out in 2017, in October of 2017.
That is amazing. Okay, I love that story. You know, I like stories. Yes. Okay. All right. So, like, you also used to do broadcasting. Please tell me. Tell us just a smidge. I'll greatly appreciate it.
Well, that's how Girls Talk got publicized. I had started a Facebook group on Facebook, and it's a private group. I still have that group today. And I had put it out there for some friends and some other individuals I know on Facebook. And I said, what do you guys think of me starting a group on Facebook where we can talk about those real important topics that we never discussed, that were never discussed with us when we were growing up, but they're necessary conversations. And so I had about 100 of them say, yeah, I'm in. And so I started the group. So we actually started having those conversations. I would throw a thought out every couple of days, and they would respond to it, or somebody would throw a thought out and we would all respond to it. And so then a friend of mine, Lady J, has a radio station. And she had put it out on Facebook. She said she had some spots open for some producers. And she was looking for some fresh new faces and radio shows to complete her lineup. And so I'm one of those ones, if I see it 3 times on my timeline, that means it's something I've got to pay attention to. And so I saw it 3 times. So that 3rd time, God was like, go on and go for it. So I contacted her and told her I was interested. Told her what it was that I was interested in doing. And that's how Girls Talk Real Talk showed up on the radio. So we started off as an internet radio show every Thursday at 6:00 p.m. And I would have different guests that would come on, and we would talk about everything from A to Z. Nothing was off the table. Mm-hmm. And I did that for just under 2 years.
Ooh, I love it. Yes. Do it. See, I like that, because just like you said, like sometimes you just don't even initially think about it, and it's just like, but when you see it 3 times, it means something. Okay, so her and I, we were talking about this business strategist thing. Okay, so I want to know, or let's just tell them what a business strategist is first, and then I'll ask you my question.
Okay, well, a business strategist is an individual that will come into a company and look at their overall business goals and objectives and ask specific questions to create something similar to a business plan. The only difference is that in a business plan, you have all of this information about what your business is doing or what you are projecting that the business will do. A strategic plan is a plan to where you talk about real short-term and long-term goals and the strategy that you're going to take to attain those goals, as well as the financial base that is necessary to meet those goals. So it's a shorter document, and it's a more specialized document, because now you are showing them what your strategy is going to be. It's almost the same thing as me being an author, and I have my literary credits that are shown for me. And so it talks about the genre that I write up under, the different responses I've gotten, that type of thing. Well, for a business, this is a snapshot of what the business will look like in year 3 and year 5 from the time that the business strategy plan goes into action.
Okay, no, that makes sense. Okay, so that does definitely helps. Okay, so my question is kind of a little more personal, because, you know, a sister can only kind of make it stick when it's about, not to say it's not about my Mayan tribe, because y'all know I love y'all. I wouldn't do all this stuff if I didn't love y'all. But at the same time, I feel like, okay, when you start a business, you know, what would be the very safest thing to start doing after you get your EIN number, or, you know, going forward?
Okay, well, there's a couple of things, and I'm glad you asked that, because that's exactly what my book is about.
Books!
Which is the reason why I wrote the book. I wrote the book because everybody kept asking me the same questions, and then they'd come back and ask me the same question again. And I was like, really? You're going to keep asking me the same question? Okay, I tell you what, go pick up the book. So in the book, we talk about those 6 steps that you need. The very first one is registering with your Secretary of State. Now, I'm one that tells you to do that before you get your EIN number. This is the reason why. 2 businesses with the same name cannot do business in the same state.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you are not in an existing business, you need to check and make sure that the name is not already taken.
Of course.
Because it's one thing to get an EIN up under a name and then find out somebody already has it. And then you have to go back to the IRS and tell them you're going to be doing business as, and there's a whole set of paperwork that goes with that. That's a headache. Mm-hmm. So if you do it with the Secretary of State first, Then you can go and get your EIN number, which is free. Secretary of State normally is under $100. So there is a fee for that. And you have to keep that up basically every 2 years. There's a report that you have to fill out.
Right.
Well, after you do all that, the very next thing that I advise people to do is to get your business insurance. Do not go to your American Family or your State Farm insurance broker. Don't do that. Find you a broker. They're just an insurance broker. And the reason that I say that is because depending upon the market that your business is operating up under, determines what type of insurance you need. If you have a security company and you are a virtual assistant, the security company will need a different kind of insurance than a virtual assistant, because you always need to have your omissions and errors. And omissions and errors insurance is basically the type of insurance that covers you in case anybody decides to sue you. So that covers you. But if you're planning on having employees and all of that, then there's a whole nother level of insurance that you have to take. And then you have to get that insurance in place to make sure that you are covering your butt, because you don't want the state or the federal government to come back and get you. So after you get your business insurance and you've got everything else in place, now you begin to work on that human relations, that HR part, especially if you are doing subcontractors or employees. Because one of the biggest issues with small businesses face is that they stuff get taken. Folks just walk away with their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have any protection. Well, you can do a non-compete with a contractor that you can't do with an employee. And in the non-compete, you're basically saying within a certain period of time, now that you have come in and you know my secrets, you can't use my secrets against me and start your own company.
Mm. Yeah.
So you have that, and that's the part that I talk about up under contracts.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a service industry, have your contracts. Don't just be out there doing business willy-nilly because you think that they like you and you like them and you can trust them. Because 9 times out of 10, it's going to come back and it's going to bite you in the rear end. So you need to make sure that you have those contracts.
Wow.
And so there is just a lot of things that are very simple things. Now, this is my pet peeve. So you shouldn't have opened this door. This is my pet peeve. My pet peeve in the midst of this is you going and paying somebody $1,500 to $3,000 to do this stuff, and you can do it yourself. And the most money that it'll cost you is less than $100 with the Secretary of State.
Mm.
Everything else you can pretty much do yourself.
Right.
And so the other thing that I talk about in the book is your certifications and your trainings and your licensing. Make sure that you have whatever that arena that you're working in calls for, because there are certain certifications and licenses that you have to get as a security business that you don't have to have as a virtual assistant. So if I decide to sell insurance, well, I've got to take an insurance exam and get licensed by the state of Indiana to be able to sell insurance or even talk about it to anybody. So that's another, make sure that whatever certifications, licenses, and all of that, make sure you have that in place before you hang up your shingle and say you're open for business. Because what'll happen is the state will find out that you're illegal, and they'll not only shut you down, but they will fine you.
Mm. Wow, that's a lot of information, girlfriend. I knew that.
I put that in my book, Grasping Your Success, 6 Steps to Starting and Legitimizing My Business.
I love it. Yes, you're definitely going to have to send a picture of that one, because that's going to be one of those things that's going to be front line and center, you guys. Okay, so I understand, like a writing strategist. What does that mean?
You would be surprised at how many people will come to you once you've written more than one book. And they'll ask you, well, where does your inspiration come from? Well, what does that look like? Well, how do you do? And I'm one of those people, basic information, I don't have any problem sharing. But when you want me to go into the coaching part of it, that's when you got to pay.
Yes.
And so basically what a writing strategist does is we kind of walk you through that process. Because what people fail to see is that there is a strategy to writing. Writing is a business. People think that I just got a story to tell. I'm going to sit down, write my story, and then I'm going to put it out there. And then I'm going to reach New York Times bestseller list, and I'm going to go with all of these huge publishing companies, and everybody's going to know who I am, and I'm going to make millions of dollars. Not so. Don't happen like that. So there is there's a whole strategy to it. And so what I call it is the ABCs of authorship. So that's what I deal with them. A is the writing process. What does it need to look like for the book that you're writing? I don't care what kind of book you're writing, you've got to do some sort of research. Whatever. I don't care what genre you're in, what that looks like. You also have to copyright your stuff. Okay? We all know that intellectual property law says that the minute you write one word on a piece of paper and you date stamp it, then it's your property. But if somebody else decides to come along and steal your work and plagiarize, and they copyright it before you do, you're going to have a battle in the courts in order to get your name back and to get your stuff back. So what I suggest as a writing strategist is that when you come up with your title, before you put anything out in the universe that this is what you're doing, copyright it. Copyright takes you into 3 stages. You start, you do the application, and this is another thing. Don't pay anybody to do this. It costs $59 for you to go to the U.S. government's copyright.gov site, fill out the application, pay the fee, and then once you have completed it, normally you'll complete writing before you'll do your cover. So once the cover is done, upload it. That's step 2. After you start the application and pay it. Step 3, now that you're ready to publish the book, then you upload the contents of the book to the site and you close the application. That's you. It's done. Nobody can ever do anything to you where that's concerned again. That's your protection. And so I talk about that with them. I talk about the copyright. I talk about making sure that they're doing the research, making sure that they're editing. Big no. Do not put a book out there that has not been edited. Because if it's difficult to read, word of mouth will get out and your book will flop.
Yeah.
And so make sure that you have editing. Now, I suggest that you read it out loud to yourself. And most people are like, why should I read it out loud? That's so crazy. Why?
No, it's not.
Because you hear yourself.
Exactly.
And if it doesn't make sense to you, guess what it's not going to do?
It's not going to make sense to nobody else.
Yeah. Exactly.
I was like that. That's funny. I'm an English major. Yeah, of course, my daughter goes, how's that working out for you? And I'm like, shut up. But it makes sense because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do editing. Okay. Yes.
So you have that, which A is that writing part of it. B is the business of writing. Yeah. And so up under the business of writing, you've got how are you going to market it? What genre are you writing up under? And that should have really produced itself when you were doing the writing part. What is your marketing plan? What is this going to look like as you put it out there? You have to look at all the different aspects of it. And then the C is the publishing. Are you going to self-publish? Are you going to hybrid publish? Are you going to vanity press publish? Are you going to get a traditional publisher, which means you have to have a literary agent? You know, what type of publishing are you going to do? And what is your budget for publishing? If you ain't got no budget, then that means you need to be self-publishing. And then there are sites like Fiverr.com. There are other sites out there that have contractors that you can contract with that will format your book, that will upload your book to the different platforms you want it to go to. There's even ones out there that'll create the cover for the book. There's ones out there that'll edit the book. The only thing that I caution is before you sign on the dotted line and give your money, check their references. If they cannot give you at least 5 references that are good references, that are people that they have worked with over the last 2 years, then that's not somebody you want to go with.
Right.
And so that's what a strategist do. We walk you through the process and we make sure that you have all of the information. And I'm not doing it for you. You're doing it yourself, but I am just basically creating the game plan of what that needs to look like. So we come down a checklist. This is what the checklist needs to look like. As you get it done, you're checking it off for your list.
Right.
And then you're able to move forward with what you have to do next.
Wow. That's a lot. I didn't know how, I mean, I kind of knew, I kind of like had like an idea of what it was going to take and different things like that. Of course, you know, I used to be kind of more so around so many people that already made it look so good and so easy and different things like that. And it's like, oh, there's like 4 steps I didn't know.
You know, even now with me I just published my 4th book, and even now I'm still learning, because even up under all of that, when you're dealing with the business of writing, are you going to turn it into an audio book? Are you going to have an ebook? Are you going to, before you really set it out to publish, are you going to get beta readers to go over it? So there's a lot of stuff that goes into the business part that we don't think about. And if we've never experienced it or no one has ever said anything to us about it, we don't know what that looks like. We have no idea what it looks like. And so then somebody comes and says whatever to you, and you're like, well, nobody told me that. I didn't even know that. And so that's what a writing strategist does. We just give you the information, and then we step back and watch you go through it. I am literally, kid you not, in the process of creating the curriculum to having an online classroom so they can go in, take classes at their own leisure, and be able to get the very same information. And so there's a limited membership, and then there's the overall full membership. The limited membership means you only have it for a certain period of time to go through these classes. The full membership means that you not only get access to all of the classes, but you also get access to me. And you get access to me once a month, where I would come on and do a live training. And we will go over questions that they may have sent to me, or questions that I have consistently gotten. And then you would get first dibs in any new trainings that would come out. Then you would also have access to a private Facebook group of other burgeoning writers that are going through this process. Because I don't put out there that I am an expert in all genres. The genre that I write in is business and nonfiction Christian. So all of my stuff is nonfiction. So it's all true, but it's business and Christian. And so I know that there's children's out there where you have the children's books. And I've been around enough people to know about having the artistry in the book and making it appealing and having it meet the audience that you're trying to speak to. So but the process, the ABCs of authorship doesn't change regardless of what genre you're up under. And so what the community does is it's your opportunity to pull beta testers from people that you've gotten to know and that you trust their word. It's an opportunity for you maybe even to hook up with an editor that has decided that they want to become an author and they're in the community. It also gives you access to all of the resources over the years that I have been able to pull in and be able to tell you, well, this publisher does this and this publisher, because every publisher does not do the same thing. Some publishers do very little and want to charge you a whole lot, and some publishers do a whole lot and they charge you fairly, and then some publishers do a whole lot and they charge you a whole lot. So it's understanding what that looks like, and then being able to sit in on conversations that I'm having with publishers as they talk about what it is that they do, as they give that information, so that you will be able to make a choice that is built on knowledge and intuition and not just supposition.
Right. Oh, wow. Honey, you just gave me a whole bunch of ideas that I'm not going to never do. I'm like, oh my God. No, I'm good. Because, once you see how much stuff it is going to take, on top of the stuff that you're trying to already do, you're like, do I really want to do this? And I see why a lot of people are doing the literary stuff and different things like that. But I'm like, yeah, but I don't really know if I want to even be involved in something like that. Because if I got to deal with other people, we really going to have a problem. I'm like, look at her. I like to shine, y'all.
That's one of the reasons why you give them the opportunity. Let me go back. Let me say this. My purpose is to edify.
Right.
That is my overall purpose. That is what God created me to do. So I edify. And the ways in which I edify is that I educate, I inspire, and I empower individuals to step into their greatness, whatever that greatness is.
Right.
And so the medium in which I use to do that is through writing. My love of writing and my love of teaching. And so I've been able to marry those two together and be able to come out with this curriculum that'll be kicking off next year. And be able to offer it out there so that people will understand the questions to ask. We don't know what we don't know. And if we don't know it, we can't ask.
Ask the questions. Exactly. Oh, I love you, lady. I want to give you the biggest hug right now. I really do. Because it's like, there's so many times that you just be like, I have no idea. Because, even when I was asking you the business question, I'm like, okay, wait, I have to do what? Okay, yeah, I didn't put that one on the checklist. I'm definitely redoing my checklist. And so, like you said, you just don't know unless someone is there to, give you the information. And I think it's, honey, you need to teach a lot more stuff because I know you know a lot more stuff. Because I'm like, she's got the girls talk, real talk.
You pick up stuff. Let's be honest. The journeys that we take in life take us in specific realms that align to our purpose.
Sure.
And just because you can do something does not necessarily mean that you should do something.
No.
Okay?
Yes.
And so we wonder why our businesses fail. We wonder why we're not getting the support that we think we should get.
Right.
Well, it may be because we're out of alignment. You're not working according to your purpose, you're working against it. Right. And so we sometimes need to remember that we've got to get real still and figure out what the purpose is for our existence, and then understand the vehicle that God meant for us to use to live that purpose out. To live that purpose out. When I aligned with that, everything else fell into place. When I tell you it all fell into place, everything fell into place. I write books because I love to write.
Right.
But what God has showed me is that He's moving me out of the realm of authorship into the realm of writing strategists.
Wow.
Because although my books are good to help people in their current situations and to make the necessary changes in their lives, whether it's for business or whether it's in their personal life, I'm a firm believer that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And so in the midst of this human experience, we go through a lot of things. We experience a lot of things. So understanding that is the case, then whatever journey we're on is preparing us for something that's coming next. And so if we position ourselves and are in line with our purpose, then we are ready for the next that is coming. We are ready to be able to do whatever it is that God has for us to do. So as you navigate that life's journey, you begin to realize, although I can do this, it doesn't mean that that's what I should be doing. So let me figure out what I should be doing. So I know I can write. That's not a problem. I know I can do a podcast.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with that. But the direction that he's sending me in is where he's actually marrying those two. And now he has put me in a position to where you've got this community of people that follow you from your blog and from your podcast. Bring those individuals that need the help over into this membership community for them to be able to get what it is that they need. And then you can focus on making sure that you're putting out relevant content that helps them attain whatever goal that they have set for themselves to attain. And so I'm sure I'll go back to writing like my books instead of content. But right now, that's the direction that he has me in. He has me focused on writing as a profession.
Minister Jones, yes, I know in the spirit of it all, because you have some knowledge, you got some real knowledge, and I think I can see you on pulpits or on those things with, just saying and speaking over so many, because it's just, how is it that you have all this knowledge for you not to be able to talk to the masses, and I think that is such an amazing thing. And I'm looking and I'm like, okay, she's the aura and the chakras around you are just pulsating, and they're like, there's so much more that you don't know that's behind this woman. And I'm like, what is this force coming from? What is happening? But I said, you know what, she'll give me the opportunity whenever she's ready. I'm not going to push the situation, because I know when you have something that's so passionate and so strong about you, oh my goodness, there is so much. It's like you're going to be able to connect the dots with so many other people from scratch. You know how hard that is? There's not a lot of people that can do that. They'll start from step 3 and keep going, thinking that everybody knows everything, but you do not. You be like, no. First, before you get to first step, you need to be prepared for all the rest of the stuff that's going forth afterwards. And that's why I said, Minister Jones, okay, she finna tell us everything. This is gonna be the whole Bible reincarnated. And I think it's just an amazing thing, because you have such a zeal for yourself and just the information and just how you're helping people. And I think that is such an amazing thing. So, okay. I guess my question is done. I ain't really done, but I guess I can be done. You guys, okay. Please tell my Mayan tribe how to get a hold of you, dear heart.
The easiest way to get a hold of me is definitely by using any of my platforms that I participate on. So on Facebook, it would be MZ Michelle with 2 L's, P. Jones. And you just put that in and you'll see it pop up. Anytime that you see a stiletto with a heel at the shape of a microphone, you know that's me. Okay. On Instagram, you can find me as MichellePharesa. That's MichellePharesa. And you can follow me on that platform as well. Or you can email me at MichellePJones@gmail.com. And so again, that's Z as in zebra, MichellePJones@gmail.com. And so those are probably the best ways to reach me. Or, you can always leave me a message, because I cannot guarantee that I will answer every call. Sometimes I have isolated myself to get work done. And so you can always reach me at 317-679-5007. Again, that's 317-679-5007. If you leave me a message, I will get back to you within 24 to 48 hours.
Yes. Love it, you guys. Listen, She is like so amazing with the information she's been able to give to us, just giving us something to think about. The reason why I even do this is because if you don't like your present situation, you guys, it's nothing to change it. And when you make a educated decision on what you want to do, you need to call Miss Michelle first and just make sure you're doing it right. So we don't want no lawsuits here. Definitely. But I thank you. I really, really thank you. I appreciate your time, your effort, and your energy, because this was definitely one for the masses, and I really, really appreciate you, just being able to speak to the people that follow me and follow us and different things like that, because I definitely want, your people to see how the knowledge, is putting to use, because you have such an immense amount of knowledge, and I think that is like really, really something that we should not take for granted. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Okay, you guys, you know the drill. The drill is I'm on Patreon now, okay? Every little bit helps, and I gave you some really cute stuff, okay? So you get a sticker, you get a mug, hey, it's still kind of chilly here, so, a sweatshirt, hoodie, whatever. And, I just want something for you guys so that you want something that you could use as well. I appreciate you. I really do. And that goes to not just the podcast and not just the radio station, but for the TV show as well. I appreciate you greatly for everything that you guys are helping me with, just being a support. My super fans, I love you to death or to life. You know how I feel about that one. But definitely I want you to, if you have any questions, if you have any just things you want to say on the line, come on. All right. That is Myya. Okay, so this is going to be the number 1, ladymyya@gmail.com. That's MYYA. And you know why, you guys? Because your homegirl is special. And I will talk to you guys later.